Hello everyone, welcome. It is my absolute honor to have such great and excellent, extraordinary law enforcement community here, and welcome to Korea. And first of all, it's so nice to see you in Korea. So can you just share with the viewer what is the purpose of a visit to Korea?
Sure. Well, thank you. It's great to be in Korea. My name is Ray Tierney. I am the Suffolk County District Attorney in New York. And I'm in Korea I'm with the KPA, and we're here to discuss ideas, techniques with regard to the legal profession. And what's great about KPA is not only do we learn about best practices from New York, but from all the great KPA assistants all over the United States, but also in Korea as well as the rest of the world. So we're here to exchange ideas and for all of us to get better.
That's great. So Jerry, I heard that you are the founding president of KPA. Can you just introduce to the KPA and how it established and how is it formed?
Sure. Jerry Beck, KPA's executive director and first president. And KPA was first formed in 2010 by a bunch of local Korean American prosecutors who thought it'd be wonderful to have an organization to network amongst ourselves, starting out in California and with one day hope of spreading across the world. And it was started with four principal ideas. One is to network amongst prosecutors of Korean descent. The other one is to educate each other on the criminal law system and the techniques. And the other part is mentorship. We want to mentor new upcoming prosecutors as well as law students, and now we're going towards college and high school students as well.
That's nice.
And the last part is to provide public safety information to the API community.
Okay.
Obviously, Korean community is our target, but a lot of the public safety issues, you understand, it covers a lot of the Asian API community,
right,
such as hate crimes, which is very critical at this time of our society. So those are our four pillars that we work with, and now we have membership from anywhere across any part of the continent. I think we have membership, so we're very proud of that organization.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what do you expect to have an outcome of your communication and visiting to Korea?
Well, this particular visit includes two parts of our formation. One is the education. We want to provide educational guidance to our counterpart with the Korean prosecutors here on subject matters that they're either developing or want to further.
Counterpart mean Supreme Court in Korea?
It's called Supreme Prosecutor's Office. It's the United States of Equality Department of Justice, the U.S. Department of Justice. They're all federal prosecutors here. And the other part is obviously networking. We want to further develop the relationship with our prosecutors here because quite honestly, KPA started with the collaboration with the Korean government, specifically with the prosecutor's office.
Oh, I see. 17 years ago.
Well, it's coming up to our 15th year next year.
Oh, sorry to add 2 more years.
Oh, I love that. The fact is we want to go as long as we can, as long as our membership expands, and as long as we have our district attorney from all parts of the United States to support us and to provide us resources. He's been great with that.
That's great. So how did you establish the relationship?
When we first formed our organization, it was mostly local prosecutors in the Southern California area. And we also worked with one of the legal attaché who was a representative of the Korean Prosecutor's Office that was assigned to Consul General's office in Los Angeles. And he helped us to really form the relationship between KPA and Korea right from the beginning. And he also helped us to get our first funding for a big conference in 2011, where we had prosecutors from New York, Korean American prosecutors from New York, Seattle, Denver, from Canada, all come to
they include Canada too?
Include Canada. We have membership in Canada because there's a big Korean American population. For example,
Canada?
In Ontario, Toronto area. It's a huge population. So that was the genesis of the expansion of prosecutors representing different areas. So we're very proud of that.
Okay, great. So, Eileen, so I know you are interim president, right? So
Yes.
when is your term start?
So my name is Irene Lee. I'm currently a deputy county counsel and also the interim president of KPA. I took over the presidency of the former president. She got elevated to the bench. And my new term, based on the election, would possibly start around January or February of next year. It's a 2-year term.
I see. So what is your the responsibility as a president?
Well, I think the main responsibility is to be an ambassador of our organization and to help guide and lead our board members. Lucy is one of our board members, and she's been fantastic, by the way. But we have, I think it's really guiding and focusing on the 4 pillars, like what Jerry talked about. So the president really sets the agenda for the term, what the goals are. For example, the community public outreach. We've done several things in California, and I know Lucy's working on things in New York. And some of our public outreach events have been informing the public on reporting crimes, giving them resources when it comes to like elder abuse or cyber crimes, and really linking people and bringing in the membership. And I think just planning in line with Jerry and also the SPO, these type of information exchange conferences.
How often do you guys meet, the members meeting? Online, or how do you meet?
So the board meets almost every month online, and then each chapter or represented area, they do their own events.
Is it chapter by the state or the chapter by the
So
area?
some
Like,
are regions, like New York, technically it would also include New Jersey as well.
okay.
And the Pacific Northwest.
Greater New York, yeah.
It's Greater New York area. The Pacific Northwest, the main hub is Seattle, but that would also include Oregon.
Oh, main hub is Seattle?
Right, for the Pacific Northwest. We
Oh, I
just
see.
started that when, in September, we launched the Pacific Northwest. And then Canada, we have a representative in Toronto, but he covers all of Canada, our board member there. And we also have Australia that also covers New Zealand.
Wow, it's like worldwide, global. Oh, that's wonderful. Wow.
Yes.
How many, I know it's a specific question, but how many the KPA, like,
So it fluctuates.
Approximately.
Right. It fluctuates. I think, give or take about 100, but it's, like Jerry said, it's all over the world. We have all over the US, Canada, and Europe too.
so how do you like build up the relationship with the executive board to the members?
Well, I think it's these outreach events. Like each chapter has to have that one-on-one relationship with their local prosecutors. But I also think the president's job is to help provide the resources and be available to have, present ideas on generating networking opportunities.
Okay, great.
And if I could expand on that, one of the main ways that we do connect with our overall membership is that we have these criminal law conference, international criminal law conference, whether it's in Korea.
How do you do that in English or like?
English is our principal language. And we also have the conference in Korea. So
okay.
every 3 years is in Korea.
Who do you invite?
We typically invite our membership. If we have it in Korea, it's the Korean prosecutors and within their office, as well as our members. If it's in U.S., typically we do it in Los Angeles because we have the biggest number of Korean American prosecutors. We have prosecutors from all of our membership throughout the world, as well as we have local prosecutors representing every aspect of the community, including we have API prosecutors represent the Asian Pacific Islanders community. So it's an opportunity for everyone to get together at least once every 3 years.
Oh,
That's
okay.
been our goal.
Wow, that's a global conference.
It's a global conference.
Wow, that's like, you guys are bigger than I thought. Lucy, introduce yourself. And so, are you mentoring the Korean Supreme, the law enforcement community, or you guys learning each other? So, can you share with that?
Sure. So I'm Lucy Kwan. I'm a bureau chief in the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. I work for the District Attorney Ray Tierney. So as far as the mentoring, as Jerry and Irene both mentioned, one of the pillars of KPA is 100% mentorship. And so that goes along the lines of, what the model of our own district attorney, that the community and the young attorneys out there and the students, that fair and accurate representation throughout the communities that we serve. There's 500,000 Koreans in downstate New York. It's important, Suffolk County being in New York, it's important that the community and the young attorneys out there and the students, that they are able to see one day what they could be. So in forming the leadership team under Ray Tierney, that was very important to him. And opportunities like this allow me to also not so much recruit, but to expand and reach out to other Korean attorneys. For example, Andrew Lee. Andrew was actually was recruited to go to a different agency office in New York. But after meeting with the DA and speaking with Andrew, he convinced him to come to Suffolk County. And then I got a call from the DA asking me to reach out to Andrew to have an honest conversation with him about how the office creates opportunities for everybody, including the AAPI community, that these leadership roles aren't unique or specific to only a certain small group of people in our community. And I think those two ideas, they dovetail into the beliefs of both organizations, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office as well as KPA. The unique thing about being mentored by someone like Ray, though, he was my mentor when I first started in the District Attorney's Office, is that Jerry mentioned that Korea is more like a federal system, similar to the United States Department of Justice. The Suffolk County District Attorney's Office is a local agency. Ray has experience in both, having been a federal prosecutor for almost 15 years, and then a little bit longer as a local prosecutor. So he's able to dovetail those two agencies to implement it on a very macro level. So the guidance-ship is very much appreciated. And I feel like we're in good hands in that sense. Yeah.
Is your office just let me just ask you, is your office working guideline under the federal or
No,
is it
so
independent?
we're independent. We work in the state. I'm a former federal prosecutor, so we work with our federal partners. But I have 242 assistant district attorneys that we work with, and we practice in the state system. But the reason why it's such a great opportunity for me to be here is obviously I come here and we're going to share some of the techniques and procedures and practices that we use, but we're only one office, and now we get to interact with all these great offices from all over, not only this in the United States, but also in Korea and around the world. So although we'll contribute, we're going to learn more than we contribute, which is great. And then the final thing, which is good for me, is, in the landscape of prosecution, it's very competitive, it's tough these days to be a prosecutor. So we could use this as a recruiting tool. And we could say, look, this is what our office is, this is what we're about, and if you're interested, come join us.
Tried like different strategy, like a Gilgovich.
Yeah.
And
I think it's helped tremendously. Number one, it's helped with best practices because, as we've been saying all along,
because you understand diversity.
we understand the federal system, we understand the state system, and now through KPA we're learning about other systems as well. It's all about developing best practices. But the other good thing about working in all of these different areas is I've been able to bring together and the success that I think, whatever success I've had, it's because of the great teams such as Andrew and Lucy. So being in both systems and going out, you get to meet people, and then you get to ask them to join your team. And I am one of 242 assistants, so I'm only as good as my team.
Excellent. Okay, so Andrew, your turn.
Hi, my
So
name is Lee.
yeah.
I am a prosecutor with the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. I work for DA Tierney. I'm assigned to the Gilgo Beach Homicide Task Force currently. And I think the one message that I would have for your viewers is that there's no better time to be a prosecutor for a Korean young person than right now.
Okay.
And I think that's in large part to organizations like KPA. When I first started 10, 11 years ago, and I'm sure Lucy can speak to this even more, Korean prosecutors and organizations like this really wasn't a thing. And now, if you young people in high school, college, when they're thinking about kind of what profession to go into, there's truly no better time to be a prosecutor for Korean Americans or Koreans or the AAPI community than right now. KPA is a big part of that. Organizations like KPA, people like the district attorney is a big reason for that as well. And Lucy just spoke. She's the first Asian American, specifically Korean American bureau chief in Suffolk County history. That's in part to D.A. Tierney.
Right.
His belief and his buy-in for diversity.
Great.
When he's thinking about who to add on the Gilgo Beach Task Force, one of the largest investigations in the county's history, again, he chose me. And I take, we
And
don't
the victimization, right?
one of the victims on Gilgo Beach was Asian, and we did a big release on that. He's still unidentified, and we're still seeking the public's assistance in that case. But just again, going back to D.A. Tierney and just selecting the team, he also chose a Korean prosecutor. It speaks highly to his character and his belief in diversity. And having people like him in positions of power,
Right.
it's really big for the Asian community right
Well,
now.
because from the last interview, he has a great interest in reaching out to the diversity, and also AAPI community is great. And also, I know that Lucy, you are the product of a New York City, the public school, the KAPA-GNY school, high school,
Right.
which is like some people think that they just like law enforcement is maybe just work for the jail system, but some parents really misunderstanding. I think the Teachers' Day celebration, 32nd Teachers' Day celebration will be the KAPA-GNY High School, and we would like to highlight they have a ROTC and also law enforcement. They have a special program, right? So can you tell me, is that your goal, or you want to be one day prosecutor?
So I actually went to Bayside High School, which is the other.
Oh, the
public-
Bayside? Oh, I
which
thought
is
the
the other,
KAPA-GNY.
which is the
Excuse
other
me.
public high
I
school.
thought I did my homework.
No, which is the other. It's okay.
Uh-huh.
Which is the other public high school in the same area. My brother went to Cardozo High School,
I
but
see.
you are absolutely correct. I am the product of public school education. You know, when you're in that environment and you see the selfless service of your teachers, it 100% influences you, for sure. You know, along the same lines of what Andrew was saying about Korean Americans growing up in New York or anywhere, to be able to have, again, something that they can visually see what they could be one day is priceless. You know, with all of the organizations that I could have joined, you know, the different organizations, the reason why KPA stuck out to me the most, obviously because of my Korean ethnicity heritage, but also it's the way it was established, the mission statement. It allowed Korean Americans rather to act in a silo, to act collaboratively with each other under this one large umbrella with tremendous support. So even though it was started on the West Coast in California, that arm reaches very long. It has, I mean, it is, as you said yourself, global. Anyone that I've introduced to the organization has been beyond impressed. Even you, apparently, when you said you didn't realize how large it was. A lot of that really has to do with leadership.
Right.
In any organization, leadership is important. I can say that about my own personal experience within the Suffolk County District Attorney. Ray Tierney is the fourth DA that I serve, and he will be my last DA. I have seen what good leadership can do. I have seen, unfortunately, what poor leadership can do.
Right.
KPA, you know, has been true to its foundation and its pillars. So I really do commend Jerry in keeping that spirit alive. I commend him in carefully picking leaders to follow in that footstep along the lines of Irene. It has been a phenomenal experience for all of us. You know, so as far as going back to your question about, you know, what influenced me, although it wasn't Cardozo, public education did influence me, Christine, thank you.
Similar. It's
Yes,
okay.
very similar, yes.
Going back to Jerry, You know, I have my the KAPA-GNY, Korean American Parents Association of Greater New York. Running the nonprofit organization is very difficult.
It's very difficult.
And especially we have two founding presidents. But what make you probably like you probably thinking we need to have some kind of organization. What make you establish this KPA?
Well, I think the number one motivation for me was there's a finite number of prosecutors of Korean descent, whether it's in Los Angeles, whether it's in New York, across the United States and across the world. I venture outside of the Republic of Korea, there's only about less than 300 prosecutors of Korean descent in the world.
Okay.
We're a very small group.
I see.
So I think there's tremendous advantage in really getting to know each other because the Korean bond, the Korean blood, I think there's always that connection we have with each other.
Right.
And to me, I thought that was going to be a major motivation for us to get together. It would bind us, unite us, and give us an opportunity to really help one another first in terms of networking opportunity. But more so, I think we could grow in terms of helping the Korean community. Because one of the things I agree with Andrew is it's one of the greatest jobs you can ever have. And as being a Korean American prosecutor, it's an opportunity to really protect your community. And one of the things that I really push our organization to grow is to make contact with other prosecutors, elected officials, such as Ray's office, such as prosecutor's office in the U.S., in Canada, and other places, because one, we want more Korean American prosecutors hired by these prosecutorial agencies. Because the more Korean American prosecutors represent that area or any country, you're protecting your community. So if you have more Korean prosecutors in your community, there's more protection within your community.
And
There's
understanding.
Yes, and there's
Right.
and that's the other key, which is public safety information. In Los Angeles, it's one of the biggest issue is how to report crimes for the Asian Korean community, not just Korean community, but AAPI community. It's very difficult, and there's a lack of understanding. There's language issues, and there's a priority issue. And what we do is we get involved and we work with the public safety,
Or some
law
culture
enforcement
issue.
community, and we tell them our community is lacking in ability to make these police report because of its either language issue or you're not giving us priority for our community. So we have the ability because we have the size, we have the connection with the prosecutor's office throughout the world now to have a voice and have that impact with that law enforcement agency and say, hey, give us priority. You need to protect our community better. And unfortunately, because of the COVID, the hate crime issue is becoming very impactful. Not just in Korean community, but every Asian Pacific Islander community. And we're devastated by the numbers, the incident, and quite honestly, the lack of care. There's recognition saying, hey, there's this problem, but what resources are being implemented?
The most upsetting, I mean, I was really furious about is that there's like all the AAPI community has a like very low crime.
Right.
In the meantime, like some of my church members cannot even go to the church at night, or like they were like robbed on the street, or they just beating up. I know there's some men they just carrying the golf club because just in case somebody attack, things like that. So I'm so glad this is I mean the KPA, you have a good success, but you have a great obligation as well.
Yeah, and going back to that, what's really sad is that low percentage of reporting is not real at all.
Oh, that's
Because
right.
part of the problem is the system is not equipped to take the report from our community for language reasons and whatnot. And quite honestly, there's a fear within the minority communities in making these reports. Their fear of the authorities, their fear because of their potentially their status and immigration status. If they're not a U.S. citizen or residents, they're afraid that they may be deported when they make this report. So there's a tremendous underreporting. And one of the functions of KPA is to inform our community. Making these report, it's important no matter what the end result is, because if you increase the realistic number of these hate crimes, you're forcing the mainstream organization to implement resources to deal with this issue right
So
now.
what kind of a reaching out to the community or family and parents? Have you done any kind of reaching out?
Yes, we've done public safety seminars.
Campaign
We've done seminars. We work with
to the like parents or
to parents, to
Parents,
children, to
community.
seniors. We've done reaching out towards media. It's a very important component because we're a small community, and when we do these seminars, we may not be able to reach everyone. But the media reporting it will reach more people than what we can do individually. So we have that relationship with
That's
the
very
media.
important.
It's very, very important at disseminating information.
the DA attorney, I know that last time my interview, like you say something important, either you meeting at the jail or in your office, right? That's very interesting, and also be reaching out to the like many different AAPI community. So what is the most success in your reaching out to the?
Sure. So
Because I know that you're giving out a lot of application and
So when I became DA, I realized that there is not only in the Asian American community, but in most communities, there's a misconception as what it is we as prosecutors do. So we didn't want a person's first time meeting a prosecutor to be on a really one of the worst days of their life. Either they've been charged with a crime or they're a victim of a crime. So what we want to do is we want to go into the communities beforehand, and we want to educate people. We want to introduce ourselves to the various communities, all the communities, let them know what it is that we do, and so that they have a comfortability with us, that they have a certain level of trust, and that, as Jerry said, they know that we're not concerned about immigration status. If you're a victim of crime, you're a victim of crime. We're going to take care of that. We're not going to, we're not going to worry about that. So we want people to know that, number one, but number two, we also want them to understand what it is we do as prosecutors. There's prosecution, there's rehabilitation, there's education, and we're involved in all of those things. But first and foremost, we have to go into the community, and we have to do that. We have to do that outreach into the community so they understand.
That's great. Eileen, so you'll be the president 2025 January. So what's your strategy for the outreaching the community, Korean community, AAPI community, those shy reporting, under-reported, those community and parents and family, and who are really victims? Yeah.
Well, I think as a president or leader or elected DA like Ray is, you have to build partnerships and collaboration. You can't do this job alone. So I'm sure Ray could attest to this, and anybody who has been a leader, it's with the partnerships that you succeed. Even if you have a great idea, you can't implement it just on that. So one of the things that we've worked on with KPA is partnerships with local organizations. For example, in Los Angeles, we have relationships with like the local Chamber of Commerce, the Korean Federation, 한인회, and other organizations like that, so that we can do joint presentations and even law enforcement relationships. KPA has an arm for law enforcement officers, and just building off that relationship with them, we're able to then inform the public. One great thing that's happened in LA is for the longest time, online reporting could not happen in Korean. Just a few months ago, they were able to launch with LAPD reporting online in Korean, and that's a lot of that was due to the hard work behind the scenes with various Korean leaders, like the Korean Federation. So it's really making inroads through those opportunities, and it's also raising our visibility as KPA, like doing the outreach and even partnering with high school related organizations, which we've done as well.
Okay, great. So, Andrew, what is your expectation from this visit? Is this first time to Korea?
This is my first time to Korea.
Okay, great. So, what's your expectation with working with the Korean Supreme? What is it called? Like Supreme Court Committee? Jerry, help me out.
Supreme Prosecutor's Office.
Prosecutor's
There we go.
Office, yeah.
My expectation is just networking, collaboration. When we were at the conference in California, we met a lot of individuals from the Supreme Prosecutor's Office, and they just shared an eagerness.
They were speaking English or do you
They spoke in Korean.
Oh, okay, the translators.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak a little bit of Korean.
I know you do.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a pleasure meeting with them. They shared an eagerness to learn and collaborate, and we're just really here on the heels of that.
Okay.
And just to piggyback on another point earlier, you know, how prosecutors can help the community. A few years ago, I was working on a series of burglaries that was happening on Long Island. And in that case, when you looked at the statistics, you saw that Korean Americans and Asian Americans were being targeted.
Right.
When you looked at the numbers, 80+% of those burglaries were small business owners of the AAPI Korean American community. And one of the things we did as prosecutors was to educate. We put out in local media, newspapers, so that the perpetrators who were still at large would not be focused on this. Education, that we were not concerned with your immigration status. We were not concerned with how you came across that money. You are the victim of this case and we're here to help. These are the things you should look for in the community. These are some of the warning signs you should look out for in your neighborhood. And so just to piggyback on that earlier point, one of the things we're here to do is to educate, inform the public, go hand in hand with the public, not just after something bad has happened, but we want to inform and help prevent so that day never happens. So that's a big part of our job as well.
Okay, Jerry, and lastly, the DA attorney, what do you want to say to the viewers as a KPA?
First, I absolutely agree. One of the best employment for young post-law school graduates to become prosecutors. It's the best job in the world. Although currently in some parts of the country you get criticized for being prosecutors, but you have a paid job and you're mandated to do what's just. How many jobs is there in the world where you're required to do the thing that the public expect and to do justice? And even at your own peril. It's the only employment or career that I've seen in my life where a prosecutor will rather resign than to not do what's required. And that's such a noble job. And I want our Korean community, our young Korean American community to look to our employment, but not only that, look to us for as resources for public safety information, and that we're there for them, not only amongst ourselves, but we're actually there for the Korean community and other API community.
Thank you, that's excellent.
So I just want to thank Jerry and Irene and the KPA for inviting me. I'm excited to be here, and I want to thank the Korean prosecutors from the country of Korea for participating. I look forward, again, just to working with them, talking to them, and learning about their best practices, sharing some of our best practices, because I know it's going to be very productive, and at the end of it, we'll all be just a little bit better.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the interviewing, and also because of all of you, the world will be a better place.
Wow.
Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all.